Hello everybody, welcome to this episode of Your Favorite Instructors. A little disclaimer here, the content that you're about to view here is specific to the training standards and expectations of the examiners that we work with in northeastern Illinois. So please do not use this training material if you are attempting to pass any of your commercial vehicle testing in another location. All right, keeping that in mind, come on in, let's get to trucking, shall we? Good morning, my name is Chris and I'm going to be demonstrating my in-cab brake checks this morning. First, I'm going to start off by verifying that the seatbelt is properly mounted and secured, that it is not ripped or torn, it is adjustable, and that it latches and unlatches correctly. I will leave my seatbelt on for the remainder of the test. Please go ahead and check yours for me. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, I am going to go ahead and verify that I have the proper emergency equipment in the truck. I want to make sure that I have a spare fuse for each circuit in the truck unless the truck is circuit breaker equipped. I want to check that I have a fire extinguisher that is a minimum size 10 BC type. I want to make sure that it is fully charged with the safety pin present and the safety tag up to date, and it is properly mounted in the bracket within arm's reach of the driver or in a marked compartment. I also want to make sure that I have my 3 red reflective triangles and that they are not broken and are able to stand on their own. Now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and begin my safe start. I'm going to first verify that the vehicle is in neutral and that our gear selector, range selector, is down. I'm also going to verify that our parking brakes are applied. Now that we've done that, I will turn the key 1 click to the right. I am taking notice that my ABS lights came on and they just went back off, indicating that my ABS system is working properly. I will now go ahead and clutch in, start the vehicle. I am going to release the clutch slowly. All right, now we can go ahead and we can start doing our brake checks. The air governor should kick in just below 100 PSI, should kick back out between 120 to 140 PSI. The air governor, if it does not kick out properly, will cause the safety relief valve to open up at 150 PSI to relieve excess pressure and protect the system. All right, we are currently reading at about 130 PSI. Now I'm gonna go ahead and clutch in, put the truck in first gear, and I am going to release the trailer brake so that we can test the tractor parking brake. Okay, let the air settle just a second. Now I'm going to release the clutch slightly until I feel the truck begin to tug. All right, there's the tug. We'll go ahead and reset. That test was successful because the tractor brake held the vehicle in place. Now we're going to go ahead and conduct a check of the trailer brake. So I will clutch in, put the truck in first gear. Now I'm going to release the tractor brake so that we can test the trailer brake. Once again, I will go ahead and ease the clutch up until we feel a tug. And we have a tug there. Go ahead and reset. That test was successful as the trailer brakes did hold the vehicle in place. Now we'll go ahead and we will conduct our combination service brake test. For this test, I'm going to be holding the steering wheel lightly with my hands. I'm just going to kind of keep my thumbs wrapped around here. I'm going to go ahead and clutch in, go to first gear, once, then again. Now we're going to be easing off the clutch and we're going to get the truck rolling about 5 miles an hour. We're only going to be going about 10 to 15 feet, then we're going to clutch in and use the combination service brake to bring the vehicle to go ahead and release my parking brakes. Checking my mirrors prior to moving. We'll go ahead and begin moving here. All right, we'll get about 5 miles an hour, holding loosely, and we'll bring it to a stop. I'm going to check my mirrors to make sure we're still straight with the trailer. Go ahead and reset. That test was successful. The combination service brake did successfully stop the vehicle in a straight line. Had the truck or the steering wheel turned when using the combination service brake, there are 5 things that I would check for. I would check for possible cargo shift, low or flat tire. I would look to see if I was on uneven ground. or if my brakes were damaged or out of adjustment. Also, I'd be checking for any suspension damage. Okay, now we can move on to the applied pressure setup. So before I begin the applied pressure setup, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to verify that I have full air pressure. If I do not have full air pressure, I'm going to go ahead and let that air pressure build back up until I hear the air governor cut out. Hear that little discharge of air we call the truck sneeze. Got full air pressure. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and clutch in, place the truck in first gear. You have to forgive me there, the clutch brake is burnt up on this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the truck off. I'm going to leave my hand on the key so that I remember I need to turn the key one more time. As soon as the engine settles and the truck is no longer running, I will turn the key one click to the right to bring my dash instruments back up. Once my dash instruments are up, I will go ahead and release the clutch. It's important to release the clutch here before we release the brakes. If the truck's in gear, it will not roll. By taking my foot off the clutch, I can release the brakes without the truck rolling. Okay, we have released both of our spring brakes here. I'm going to let that air pressure settle before I begin the test. I'm going to take note of what my air pressure is before beginning the applied pressure setup. All right, the air pressure has stabilized now, and we are right at about 100 psi. So I'll now begin my applied pressure test. My applied pressure test involves me pressing down on the brake pedal and holding it for 60 seconds. I should not lose more than 4 psi during that 60 seconds in a combination vehicle, or 3 psi if I were in a single vehicle without the trailer. I'm going to go ahead and begin the test now. Pressing the brake down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 10, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60. Okay, at this time I'm going to call this test unsuccessful. I did lose more than 4 psi in this combination vehicle during that 60 seconds. I will now move on to the emergency light and buzzer test. For this test, I'm going to be fanning the brakes down to simulate air loss. And my emergency light and buzzer should come on prior to 55 psi. So at or above 55 psi, beginning the test now. Okay, our emergency light and buzzer have both come on, and they both came on prior to 55 psi, right around 60 psi. That test was successful. So I can now move on to my emergency valve pop-out test. Okay, for this test, I'm going to be fanning the brakes down again to simulate air loss. Both of my valves should pop out between 45 to 20 psi. My trailer valve should pop out first in order to help prevent jackknife. Beginning the test now. Okay, both valves popped out right at about 20 psi. The trailer valve did pop out slightly before the tractor valve, so this test was successful. So I will now go ahead and secure the vehicle back into neutral, and I will turn the key off and remove it from the ignition. This completes my in-cab and brake test. I will now go ahead and perform another safe start so that we can continue with the rest of our in-cab checks. There we go. All right, now that we have completed the brake checks, we're going to go ahead and go on to the rest of our cab control checks. So we'll start with our exterior lighting controls. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my headlight switch one click to the right, which is going to bring up my clearance lights. One more click to the right, which is going to bring up my low beam headlights. And then I'm going to use my multi-function bar to turn on my high beams and verify that with the blue indicator on the dashboard that my high beams are working properly. Then we'll turn the high beams back off. Next, we'll check the left turn signal and make sure that it is working properly as indicated by the dash signals. We'll check the right turn signal, make sure it is working properly. And then we will turn on our four-ways. We'll make sure that those are working properly as indicated by the dash lights. Now we can turn the four-ways off, and we'll go ahead and turn our headlights off. Next, we can go to our windshield. We're going to make sure that our windshield is properly mounted and secured, not damaged, not cracked. If it does have a crack, it cannot be more than 1 inch or impede the driver's view, and that there are no illegal stickers on it. We want to make sure that the rubber seal around the windshield is present and not dry rotted, cracked, or leaking moisture. And then we want to go ahead and talk about the fact that we have an up-to-date safety inspection sticker on the windshield. Once we've done that, we can go to our mirrors. We want to make sure our mirrors are securely mounted, not damaged, not cracked or broken, working properly, and that they are clean. Next, we'll go to our windshield wipers. We want to make sure our windshield wipers are working properly. They are pressed firmly against the window. And when we press the windshield washer, we have windshield washer fluid that is working, filled to the proper level. And we can turn the wipers off. Now we're going to talk about the DEF gauge, or the diesel exhaust fluid gauge, which is right here. As you can see, we have 4 green squares. Each of those squares represents 1/4 of a tank. So with 4 lights illuminated, we do have a full tank of diesel exhaust fluid. Now we're going to check our heater controls. We'll turn the knob to heat. We'll start by checking the defroster. We will place our hand above the defrost vent, above the windshield or below the windshield, to ensure that it is working properly. Once we feel the air, we'll say that it's working properly. Now we can change it to the floor heat, at which point we will move our hand down here underneath the dashboard until we feel the air blowing on our hand, at which point we will indicate that our floor heat is working properly, and then we can change to our face heat setting, and we will verify that that also is working correctly by verifying that the vent is blowing on our hand. All right, now once we've completed that, we can return to the appropriate climate control. Now we will do a quick check of our horns. We want to make sure our city horn works and our air horn. At this point, we are ready to move on into our actual exterior light controls. You'll be directed through a series of light controls by the examiner, who will be outside of your truck